Raw Revelations is about us picking a story from a whole bunch of stories that we have received, and we have chosen to address that particular story today. I don't know if we'll have enough time for 2 stories, but at least let us ensure that we dive into one nicely. So on the live or on the call with me today is a friend, a colleague, and a certified trauma and mental health practitioner. Welcome to the live, Mariam Mbabali.
Thank you, Kami. I'm very excited to be here. I'm so proud of what you're doing. Thank you.
Aww, thank you. So on the show today, I'll just like us to delve right into our story. I'll keep going back to it, but basically this is what we are working with. So the first story. This woman's story is one of enduring hardship, trauma, and eventually personal awakening. Raised in a home with her step-siblings, she longed for her father's love, yet he became increasingly distant, often treating her as a black sheep. She was forced to live in a cramped maid storeroom, made to do house chores, and was left out of family events. Her father's constant verbal abuse crushed her self-esteem, leaving her feeling unworthy of love and affecting her ability to form healthy relationships. Desperate to escape her troubled home, she took a job at a supermarket only to be pushed out by her stepmother to live independently. Although initially lonely, she found some peace. However, when COVID-19 struck, she lost her job, and during a robbery at her apartment, she was raped. With nowhere else to turn, she returned to her parents' home, but it only revered old wounds. She yearned for an apology from her parents for the pain they had caused her, but they remained unresponsive, forcing her to create a distance once again. Her search for love led to a series of unfulfilled relationships until she became involved with a married man and eventually had a daughter. While she found deep love with her child, the relationship's complications and her family's judgment continued to weigh her down. Her parents' criticism for her early motherhood only reinforced her feelings of inadequacy, leaving her to set strict boundaries with them. She also struggled with her daughter's father, who increasingly tried to control her life. His influence eroded her confidence, creating distance between her and her daughter. Over time, this control became unbearable, and she realized she had lost sight of her self-worth. With the help of an empowering podcast and self-reflection, she began to reclaim her sense of identity and set firm boundaries. Please note, one of the podcasts, one of the spaces where she got information was Be Real, Be Raw. She now questions her role as a parent, reflecting on whether she would listen to her daughter's pain one day and apologize as a gesture that she never received from her own parents. In her journey, she is seeking healing and a healthier future for herself and her daughter. That is from Anonymous number 1. It's Mariam.
Wow.
Yeah. When I read it the first time, I was like, problem. as in it's just like a never-ending cycle. You know, you're like, when does this girl catch a break?
Wow, wow, wow. I empathize with her. I really do. But I'm proud of her at the same time because she acknowledges she has, I'm not going to call them guts, but the fact that she's already speaking about it, that's already a step in the right direction. Because the only way to heal is to acknowledge. So she's seeing there's a problem right there. So she's off to a good start. And no other place like Bureau. There's a study that was made about women and expressing themselves. About when they do the studies, many women die more than men from not expressing their feelings and not expressing themselves. So whoever the anonymous person is, kudos to that person. She's fighting a strong fight. And from what I've picked from her story, I won't go in depth because some of those stories is good on the one-to-one, but by large, I empathize with her. And what doesn't, and the fact that she's out there talking about it, you know, relationships are like cement. When you mold it, when it's fresh and when it's wet, you get a good mold. But when it's dry, and it dries quite very fast, you're unable to forge a relationship out of it. So right from the inception of her relationship with people, those were her parents. Yes, that was a wrong mold. She lacked an emotionally available adult growing up. So as you read her story, I get a display of a lot of adult childhood experiences. So when you place what she experienced on a scorecard, her child experiences are through the roof. And then down the way, you hear she has a child with the daughter involved. So the pattern goes on. So those are all traumatic experiences, but they started from when she was a child. She had no one available for her. And if she doesn't address that from where it started from, she'll sadly have to pass it on because you become exactly what you were part of growing up. So to the anonymous person, she needs therapy, and I'm glad she acknowledges that she needs one. And a step in the right direction will be, first, she needs to seek out for people who are good with trauma, because trauma and pain, it just doesn't go away. And the brain doesn't distinguish emotional pain and physical pain. It is pain. That's how the brain works. It doesn't distinguish that, oh, this is a pain from a traumatic, this is accident, or this is emotional, I've been abused. It is pain. But like we're talking earlier, pain is like peace. Even if you add sugar to it, even if she adds very good emotions going along the way, and she doesn't address the core, she'll still come back to the peace. So, which is very, 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 very unfortunate. So I'm glad she's not running away from it, because when you run away from trauma, it pursues you. It follows you. It won't let you catch a break. Even when you try to fake it, that I'm good, it's all happening, there are triggers. So we usually run when we are triggered. But every time the triggers come and show up. So personally, I'll look into, when I started this journey of therapy, I also started from pain. I also started realizing that, oh, wait here, there's a problem here. But I'm a lawyer. I'm a practicing lawyer, and I was doing family law in my practice, and you're handling divorce, you're handling custody fights, but you're presenting yourself as the lawyer trying to solve people's problems,
Yes.
but without acknowledging that you are living most of what they're going through. So the sooner I notice that, wait a minute, they are better than me, and here I am seated up here trying to, forge my way through, thinking that I'm having a very good life in my marriage at that time.
Yes.
So the sooner I got help, I was like, oh, there's another side to it. There's another side to trauma.
Yes.
There's happiness. There's healing. So the flip side of trauma, there's healing. There's a big door of healing waiting for you. So the wounds of childhood can linger on, but no feeling you have is final.
Yeah.
So the sooner you recognize or look at the triggers, I tend to look at the triggers as my map.
Yes.
Like the way we used to do that atlas where there's a key. So the triggers, when they show up and you've done the work, you'll know how to dodge those bullets when they show up.
Yes.
So to the anonymous person, I understand the pain, but pain requires work. You have to work through it.
Yes.
And when she spoke about her parents and what she experienced, I was like, okay, that's good for her. Because when you say your story in the way the anonymous person said it, you're able to recognize that other people did you wrong. So the anonymous person recognizes that these people showed me, and she knows what's right and wrong, and she can recognize that for starters wasn't a good way to raise a child as she was a child.
Yes.
So she has to work her way through that. So I don't know. I can't speak forever on the subject, but yes, just off cuff, I'm thinking that's how she needs to navigate it. I hope I've tried to share a few clips for her and the benefit of our audience. Over to you, Kemi.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think every human being should find
Yeah.
themselves a therapist and equip themselves with these tools. We spoke about it this morning, and you sent me that clip last night, and it was the first thing I saw this morning, and it was clear that if you piss in a glass, it doesn't matter how much sugar, how you dress it up, how you tie it up, there's still piss inside of there. And then you added and said that you can't separate the piss from the water now, but you should be able to identify, see those triggers, and know that this one is coming. It's time for me to. Many of us go through our lives dodging trauma, yet you are supposed to face it and then work your way through it. And all we do is, if I can, why would I go to a therapist? People will think that, you know the usual tags that come with it, or maybe I'm going mad, a good day dalon. Yet a therapist is there to simply move the mark out so that you can see clearly through that fog that is surrounding you. So,
So maybe if
yes,
I can say something more,
yes,
there
please.
is also something else that we call our belief
Yes,
system, like what we believe, what our mantras are. So what usually happens to our brain, some people start thinking it's their fault that certain things happen the way they happen to them, or how they experienced different relationships. But in the belief system, we hold on to our stories so tight. If you don't share them and get an emotionally available adult in form of a therapist, in form of a friend, in form of a mentor,
yes,
what happens? We hold on to our stories so tight that we start confusing them to be true.
yes,
So you start convincing yourself, maybe there are no good men out there. Maybe I'm doomed because one did me wrong. Maybe the way I experienced, the way she experienced her parents,
yes,
she may think it's okay for her her father, the father of her daughter, to do her the way she also did. So our belief systems become part of who we are, and they can create a confirmation bias of how we deal with that whole ecosystem. So maybe the question is, who is her support system? Who is there to support her and help her navigate all this? Yes.
Support system.
Yes.
Who is her support system?
Yeah.
Wow. Who is her support system? You've left us with a pregnant one there, Mariam.
It will soon give birth.